Hey everyone, this is Scott Weidenkivowitz, and today I'm going to show another photo critique. Another photographer in the community has sent me a photo, an original, for me to, take a look at, see what I would do different, and share some opinion. Now, that's very important because this is all opinion. There really is no wrong way to process a photograph. It's all a matter of the artist's or the photographer's vision, the what he or she wanted to do, etc., etc. So, what I'm gonna show you, what I'm gonna do to the photograph is just a matter of opinion. It's just something that could be done different. And really, what I want to show in this photograph is there's a lot of a lot of texture going on between the water, which is originally smooth, because that's why you can see all the rocks below, the mountains, the clouds, and of course all this, the grass and shrubs and whatnot that's all up here on the land. It's all texture. There's no smoothness going on. The colors are a little off. I like the blue and the color tinting going on, but I feel like there's a lot of color tinting going on throughout the image. So I had a thought. So here is the original. You can see it's a big difference between the two. You can still see texture, but it's not as strong. So what I want to do is the first thing I want to do is actually to go to lens correction. Now, because I looked at the metadata before, I don't want to show you the metadata because the photographer's name is there and this is sort of supposed to be anonymous. So this was shot with a Canon 60D, I believe it was, and it was using the 40 millimeter, you can see here 40 millimeter lens. I believe that's the Canon pancake lens. So I'm going to do a little bit of lens correction just to take care of any distortion that comes with that pancake lens. The next thing I would do is in Lightroom, go to the tone curve, and by default, go to medium contrast. I want to get a little bit of an S curve, and I can always adjust that later if I need to. The next thing I want to do is I want to actually clean up this water because I don't want to make the whole image cooler. I just want to make this blue, the water down here, bluer. So I'm going to take my gradient and I'm going to drag a little bit, move that up. And then you'll see here I'm going to tint it, just change the color temperature slightly, bring that blue out. And you can see that just by changing it to blue, you can see all the rocks below. So it's just a matter of changing the color a little bit. And there we go. That's just about the amount I want to do. So now it basically looks as though the water was blue that day. The water was not just tan or just neutral. Now you can see here it is bleeding over here. So the other option to do, instead of using the gradient tool, is I can delete that. I can use the radial tool if I wanted to. And that's going to actually do these rocks here as well. Let's see, I'll show you real quick. You can change that, and then we've got to invert the mask. And the downside to doing this is you still are going to bleed over to some of the rocks. So really the best way to go about this would be to take the brush tool and start brushing, and then what I usually do is I hit O, and that'll bring up the where I've actually brushed. And you can see here the auto mask is on, so I'm actually masking around the rocks, hopefully, and I can always zoom in and fine tune. I'm not going to be that precise because this is just a photo critique, not my actual photo. So I am not going to be too precise, just to give you an idea of what you could do. And I'm going to be a little precise, but not extremely precise, just to give you that idea. So let's make that smaller. And you can see I am bleeding over to some of the rocks, but again, I could easily just zoom in and reverse that and then take it out if I wanted to. And that way it's not bleeding over to the rocks. Now, if this was my own photo, I would be a lot more precise. I'd be using a Wacom pen tablet instead of just the trackpad on my laptop, but you get the idea. So that is that. I'll close that. I'll hit O again to hide the masking, and then I'll go and change the temperature. And you'll see that that water is turning blue, but the rock over here, which was before with the gradient tool, is now not changing. The other thing I want to do is actually change it up here too. I want to blue the clouds a little bit. So I'm going to make another, I'm actually going to hit new, and I want to make another masking area. Let's show that. And I'm going to mask Again, not being too precise, but I'm going to mask around and brush around these mountains. And then when I'm done, hide that, and then again, change the temperature just to get the blue in there. And now right away, you can see that the photo has changed a lot from the original. Right away. You can see before and after. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is just do some basic exposure adjustments. So I'm going to start with white and bring up the whites till it starts clipping, and right there. And then the black's going to bring the blacks down till it starts clipping right there. And then bring down my highlights and adjust the shadows. Add some contrast. And then the next thing I want to do is, again, I'm going to go back to the brush. I could use the radial, but again, it might be a little tricky. I'll just show you what will happen with the radial. What I want to do is add some clarity. I was thinking doing it in the middle here, but I'm actually thinking I might do it just on the mountains, and that's it. Because I want to bring the focus to the back, because those mountains are awesome. The water's blue, it's smooth, you can see a little below. I wouldn't do it too much. So I am actually going to go back to the brush and create a new brush point. Turn on the view so you can actually see where you're painting, the masking, and then brush a little bit. And I probably sound like Bob Ross painting on top of trees, or painting trees, but that's okay. It's not really a tree, it's a mountain, but that's okay. Alright, so there we go. Let's hide that masking, and then I'm going to go over to the clarity slider and just bump up the clarity. You can see that it's getting a little bit crisper. And then I can even bump up the contrast and take down the exposure to bring that out a little bit. And there we go. That's good. Let's hide that. And then again, here is after and the before. So that is what I would do to the photograph. It's subtle. It's a little bit truer to the color. However, it's still not 100% color corrected. So if this was me, I would have done a custom white balance beforehand. It doesn't seem like it was. I don't know for sure, because this is actually as shot. So the white balance here has not been touched. And so what I would have done is either use the color checker passport or the Expo disc in order to make sure that the color was exact white balanced. And I would have gone from there. So there's really nothing in the frame that I can grab for neutral. For example, this is the white balance tool right now. If I was to try to get neutral, I'd have to go with the rock over here, or actually use some part from the mountain up here. But it's neither of them are really that neutral. But just to give you an idea, here's what happens if I choose the rock right here. The color got a little bit cooler. It might be a little bit better. And now you can see here this actually got bluer. But then what I would do is I would go to the HSL section where you can change the hue, saturation, and luminance, and then I would actually go to the saturation and bring back the aqua and the blue, or maybe even just shift the hues a little bit so that they are bluer and not more aqua. But it's all, again, a matter of preference of what you're going to do. Let's reset it. I actually liked it better the way it was. And then I can go and bring down the luminance so that it's a little bit darker as well. So lots of stuff you can do. Two completely different versions. Let me show you again. We can actually compare these. So you can see what the photographer did versus what I would do. And there's no wrong way. It's both a matter of preference. I personally prefer something a little bit more natural, but the photographer chose to go with something a little bit more punchy. And both are really neat. Just, again, matter of preference. So thank you for watching. I did this all in Lightroom. I haven't used any other software. Typically, if I was doing some processing for a landscape like this, I would be using ON1 Software's Perfect Photo Suite. But I decided to do this all in Lightroom because it could be. So in addition to being all preference, what software uses all preference, and use the right tool for the job. So thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something from this, and if you have any questions, let me know.